What up, what up, what up, everybody? It is Tuesday night, live reality games podcast coming at you. I'm Daniel Ball. He's Steven Stewart. And Steven, we are here to recap Survivor 48, episode 7. You can tell me your feelings on, how all of this goes down, but there's two tribals, but only one of the two make the jury. So we will start with that idea in mind. Like, this is your chance to get on your soapbox. Like, how do you really feel about that?
Should the merge always mean jury?
I mean, I think so. Like, if you start talking about the merge and you say drop your buffs, and then everybody gets this said buff, like, I feel like that's the point at which, okay, you're in the jury.
I mean, I can see how with the mergatory being a thing, like, hey, if you don't make the merge, you aren't in the jury. I could see that being like the cutoff, but then like having it then get additionally like there's one more vote that you still won't make it, and that's been a thing. It's just like, I don't know. If you feel for the players, I think Survivor just somehow really dislikes 9 people juries out of the fear of a 3-3-3.
But to me, like, that sounds intriguing. Like, to me, if you get a 3-3-3 jury, that, to me, part of that, you look at it and you go, okay, this was a really good game. This was such a close game that people can't decide who they want to vote for.
And so so I guess the question, because like if you have 8 or 10 people and you split 4-4 or 5-5, you have that natural like 9th or 11th jury member with whoever is like your laurel, right? You have your laurel to kind of bail you out. But a 3-3 you don't. And to be fair, that's such a corner case. All right, given that we so often have at least one 0 vote finalist.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, there are solutions, and like I've seen solutions in games I've played, or not games I played, but games I've watched, such as like give a juror an extra vote, or dare I say even the worst version, or block a juror vote. Like there's some things you can do to like give players agency to affect the jury, and like therefore ensure that you're not going to have that kind of weird deadlock.
I mean, Survivor's into letting the fans vote. Let the fans break the tie.
Is there? Oh my! I mean, then Russell would have won.
Right. It becomes a popularity contest, and not maybe who has the biggest following on social media, not who played the best game.
It's to be shaped by this edited product, not the game that the players watch unfold.
Right. Very true. Well, let's get into the start of this. Obviously, at Merge Camp, Mitch he's upset. Once again, he's on the outside looking in when it comes to votes. They didn't say anything about who they were voting, and for rightfully so. He was good with Charity, and if they told him it was Charity, he would have told her, and then that would have caused problems. But the biggest issue for him is he had to write someone's name down, and I don't know if he panicked, but he wrote Say's name down, which giving all the things that have happened, I don't think that's a bad name to write down. But he definitely had to try to mend some fences with her, and she was having it to his face, but in a confessional, she's like, I want that guy out. But when Say says she wants someone out, I feel like she says she wants everybody out. So,
I mean, do you want to just skip to how Say voted last episode? Because we talked a lot about this and speculated, but we didn't know why.
Yeah, and obviously, Cedric is and we talked about this, is like maybe Say is putting a Cedric vote down to kind of put some fear in him, and I think that's what it was. She tried to disguise her handwriting, whether she did that knowingly or
she did.
Cedric was just not very intuitive and says that he didn't recognize the handwriting, but he had no clue what her handwriting looked like anyways.
I mean,
Um,
not only is she looking to put some fear in him, she's doing it strictly out of spite, which you kind of
yes.
have to love.
Yeah, I mean that's a the but the problem is this is where I have a problem with her game is like if she
Only
knew
here,
how
only
close
here, right?
right, if she knew how close the votes were going to be, there's no way you can vote anybody other than Charity. I don't care what you feel about Cedric. Like cuz she almost that was almost a reason why it was her, or a tie vote, it's just silliness. I
Yeah.
don't I think she's going to have her opportunity to get Cedric at some point. I didn't think it and she wasn't really getting him. She just like threw a name out there arbitrarily and to strike fear, and she knew it wasn't going to cause him to go home because she knew he wasn't the vote. Um
It makes me
but
really
obviously
wish that she had like cast that vote on anyone else, right? Like,
yeah.
like how would a Shaheen have acted this episode otherwise? How would have Kyle or Camille acted this episode otherwise? What would Joe or Eva have done had they gotten a rogue vote? Maybe they shrug it off. Maybe they're just kind of Cedric, kind of like, I don't know what happened, but like, man, I really would wish she had just rogue voted a different player, not the person who ends up going home this episode.
Yeah, it would have been nice if she would have threw a rogue vote at someone else and then blamed it on Cedric. I mean,
That would have been funny. That'd been hard to do, but funny.
um, but obviously Cedric's trying to figure out, he's got a vote and he's starting to panic a little bit. He knows his game has been rocky, from the start. But Shaheen goes and talks to Mitch, and he explains why they didn't let him in on the charity vote. Mitch goes to Joe, and what is it about Joe? But like Joe is like the comfort food that everybody needs. It makes them feel good. So like when they're having a bad day or they're feeling bad about it, they just migrate to Joe. And for whatever reason, like you know, they start sharing personal stories and building this connection, and they start feeling all warm and fuzzy, and then all of a sudden like Mitch thinks like, oh, like I'm in with the guys. I don't believe that's the case because I think they're pretty clear about who's in their little strong guy alliance plus Eva. But when you look at Mitch, where do you see him right now?
It was interesting. So I think what was surprising or interesting coming in this episode is they kind of list like, here are the people who are on the bottom of the outs, right? Say, yeah, I can see where that's coming from. Mitch was a little bit surprised, and I guess like, hey, because Mitch is tied with Chrissy. No, not
Yeah,
Chrissy. Mitch was tied with with Charity. I could see why he's maybe more feeling more on the outs as a result. But really, I was kind of surprised that Cedric was so much on the outs as well. Because
yeah,
like, and maybe it's just like that Siva 2.0, that swap, the Orange Tribe, just everyone on there is like kind of in danger zone. Mitch, say Cedric, because like they just don't have connections with this. What we're kind of getting as a dominant Purple Alliance.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I like Mitch kind of putting in some effort here, and I don't know if that's what ends up saving him per se, but it works enough.
Yeah, I think with Cedric, it's everyone knows how he voted. I think it's pretty common knowledge, probably within the tribes, that Cedric is not a reliable vote, and so I think everyone's like, we need to get him whenever we have a chance, and like now's as good of a time as any, and like he was an easy vote, I think, for them, and which is why I think he became part of the radar and inevitably became the vote.
I,
Um,
I think this is why we need to praise Mary. We don't get
yep,
to see a lot of Mary this episode, so we should talk about the Mary fan club that you're bringing, because I think even though we don't hear or see a lot from her, she's the last one of the Green Tribe standing after this episode, and she's integrating herself to other players. Like all these names are being thrown out, no one's saying Mary. Everyone's rolling with Mary right now.
yep, and I just want to throw this out there. Applications for the Mary Fan Club are due tonight. Don't come at me tomorrow after Survivor's over and want to be a part of the club. It's closing at midnight, so make sure you get those in. Any applications turned in after 12 a.m., 416 will be null and void. So make sure you get them in quickly. Thank you for allowing me to do that shameless plug for our fan club. We got to take care of our girl Mary. With Mitch, I want to go back to him for a second. Joe is starting to see what I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago with Mitch. His story is very emotional. It's very compelling, and like as much as he garners people to like him, and he does a good job of getting people to like him. Like I don't think anybody out there dislikes Mitch. The problem is his story is so good, and Joe is now seeing it. Like you can't take this guy much further. Like you just can't.
But we've had this talk where it's like, yes, there are these strong personal stories people bring in the game and that will sway and affect the jurors, but like I don't think they surmount the gameplay story, right? Like I think I would be shocked if Mitch does nothing, gets then sells this beautiful personal story. Will that be enough? I don't know if that would be enough against a player who plays hard and like earns more game respect from players. But I do think it is something to note. Say, hey, if Mitch has both, I'm doomed. I can't beat that.
So this is the question that I'm thinking about when I hear Joe say that. Who's the other person that has a compelling story similar to Mitch's, but is actually a better player than Mitch right now?
You there?
I'm here. Sorry.
All right, I'm here too. I don't know whose side it was, but we're back.
I don't know if you heard my question, so I'll repeat it just to be safe. You know, when you hear Joe say that about Mitch and saying, you know, I can't let this guy go any further, but like, who is another person? Like, if he's willing to do that to him, who is another person that has a similar story to Mitch that's very compelling, but is actually playing a much better game than Mitch?
Is it Eva?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is Eva. So Eva is supposed to be Joe's number one. If he's not willing to take Mitch, who, in my opinion, isn't even a threat to win the game, what do you think he's thinking at some point that he's got to do with Eva? Is he thinking the same thing?
So it depends on who people see as the dominant of the pair, like who they see as driving things, who's the leader versus the follower of the pair. That's going to really shape it because, like, you know, if Eva's doing all the strategic work, gets the end with Joe, yeah, I think Eva will win. But you know, it could be the opposite where Joe gets and everyone's like, well, you know, yeah, you were kind of doing the same thing. We really see Joe doing a lot of the things here, so we're kind of like give him the accolades. So I don't know. But also like the way Joe and Eva have found the relationship, I would be really stunned if there is a flip between them.
Yeah. I would be stunned too at this point. But I think if Joe or either one of them flip on the other, I think that's a game-winning like move. I think that's a great move. And I think if you're one or the other and you get down to the final three, I feel like that move has to have been made, or you're going to question like whether you can win the game or not.
We've also seen it fail. I mean, I guess think of Jesse and Cody, right, from season 43.
Yeah.
Jesse pulls off some, you might say, brilliant moves, right? He's able to finesse Cody's idol out Cody. He then plays Janine's idol. Everyone thought was out of the game as well. He gets the final four and gets knocked on fire, right? So, I mean, an explosive game with a great betrayal is all fun and good if you can back it up with fire making at this point, it seems.
Yeah, they spend a little bit more time at camp. Say goes to Shaheen. Shaheen, obviously is off, away from Say, confesses that, hey, if we had started on the same tribe, we probably could have worked together. However, we didn't. And she's just not part of what I have going on, and so he's okay with her being a vote. And so so like now those that I think we're starting to see on the out, Cedric, Say, and Mitch are going to players like Shaheen to see where they lie. Um, I'll ask you in that group, in that big guys, strong guys alliance plus Eva, is Shaheen the fifth guy?
Oh, Shaheen, I think, is rightly paranoid.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm not a fan of the split tribal council style twists. I'm okay with it being one off. I don't like the fact it's a staple. But I will say, I I thought Shaheen was well insulated, kind of hearing this segment. He was like, nothing's gonna happen to this tribe unless it comes to me, which I think to an extent is true because he's kind of in that middle position. But you really see him while he's like, I am so close to getting voted out here, like because I am the other name, and his name gets come down. So I think he's gonna. I think we're gonna have to see Shaheen scramble, or he's simply gonna be culled by his alliance at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that rogue vote that Say could have thrown out there. I mean, what if she put Shaheen's name down?
Gosh, we really missed out.
Yeah. They go to immunity and reward. It's the basically, I don't know what you call it. You probably know the name of this game, but you're holding on to a handle that has a bucket. The bucket has 20% of your pregame body weight. When you drop the bucket, breaks the tile, you're out of the game. And I don't know how they've decided what the record time to beat is, but they clearly know.
Wrist assured, WRIST assured.
Wrist assured. Okay, I get it. I see what they did there.
I appreciate it.
So the way that it worked, you split into two groups. The winner of each of the two groups gets immunity, but the person, the first winner earns their team reward, but both teams will end up going to tribal. And so, of the two teams, the person who lasts the longest, they win that.
You're forgetting the most important part.
Oh, Lord. What did I forget?
The winning team also gets peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly.
All the fixins.
Oh, the fixins. See, so I told my wife, I said, this is the only reward that I would be like, you can't mess this up. Like the pizza, the burgers, the fruit, the charcuterie, like the sandwiches, like all of that, they can have that. I've seen it. It ain't that good. But peanut butter and jelly, let's go. Give me that. Like
you're dear to my heart.
I'm good. I'm good. Team 1 consists of Star, Chrissy, Say, Mitch, Eva. Team 2 was Cedric, Camilla, Mary, Shaheen, Kyle. Joe, wins. Joe's part of Team 1. David's part of Team 2. Joe wins immunity. Him and David are the last two, and they basically kind of big dog each other until Joe just finally like looks over and David's like, I don't know. He's sleeping and holding on to this thing. Like it just didn't look like it was a problem for him. Which is good. I mean, thankfully those muscles they're not for show. They can actually do something. So
was that ever a concern that his muscles were just for show?
No, not at all. But some people get out there and you never know. You never know.
It is interesting, like I think his Crystal Cox and Gabon, I think, is known for like not performing as you may expect of an athlete. Cedric this season, he's a doctor. Like you don't need athletes, but he's surprisingly not really good. Like he was out so fast. This challenge is like, whoa.
Cedric is not good at any of the challenges. He wasn't good at the social game. He really wasn't good at anything.
He came in 11th.
But yet he makes the merge.
He had the jury.
I mean, there you go. I mean what do we know?
His social game out. I think his social game is good. I think we question his strategic game to an extent.
Yeah, that's true. So at reward, Kyle is saying he's not trusting Shaheen. That's kind of the big thing that I get from the reward. Not a whole lot else was going on, but
Wait, oh, hold on. Would you eat your peanut butter jelly sandwiches open faced or 2 pieces of bread?
oh, two pieces of bread. I mean, actually, here's the best way to eat peanut butter is
Oh,
just with a spoon out of the jar.
yeah, I can see it.
But like for the sake of having manners, because that's what Survivor is, it's very you got to have some
You're just
etiquette.
gonna like dip your fingers in the jar first thing, look and say, "Oh, I guess
Yeah.
it's mine. I touched it."
Yeah. You got to have some etiquette out there on the island. So I would go two pieces of bread, and I think at that point, like you could use another piece of bread. Like you pretty much earned it. Like let's not cut our carbs too much here.
I mean, I wonder if there's maybe just not enough bread, or just like you're just like slathering so much peanut butter jelly on it,
Oh,
just like whatever.
it
I'm not
would
gonna eat.
be a massive. It would be like it would almost look like a burger. How you can tell that there's something in between the buns. Like here, like it would be a nice layer of peanut butter and some
So, the most
jellies.
important question, Daniel. You're on Survivor. There's an edge of extinction twist, and you are voted off as extinction, and you have the option. Do you buy that giant jar of peanut butter, or do you get some sort of like idol or advantage? Like, what's your heart telling you to do at that point in time? You only get one.
I, in the sake of saving my game, I think I'd have to go with advantage or idle, just because. But it would not be as easy as what some people may think it would be. It would definitely take take some pondering.
Food is an advantage too, though. So
Hey, very true. At camp, Joe said Mitch and Say are on the outs. Say tries, to talk to Joe and is not really that helpful. She then goes to Eva and plants that, Mitch is dangerous. Like you got to watch out for Mitch. Um, Eva says, realistically, Say should be the next one to go, but she hasn't really connected with Mitch. But the vote out not being on, and not being on the jury may be getting rid of, and this is what I like about Eva in this particular instance. She's thinking about, okay, who of those two would I have a better chance of getting a vote from on if they were on the jury? Because
mhm.
this person's not going to be on the jury, so I want to try to eliminate someone who's not going to vote in my favor if it came down to it. So that's like a long-term game move where you're thinking about winning, and I think you have to start doing that. And I was surprised that Eva was there because she's so much in the right now about the game that she had that thought about long-term and jury management and votes. Um, so they come up with Shaheen being the decoy. Kyle tells Cedric Shaheen makes the most sense. Cedric thinks that he can trust Kyle, and so Kyle tells Camilla because they're pretty tight. How is it, Steven, that Kyle and Camilla have this like blanket of protection around them every single phase of this game? It's like, yes, they've done some things that have protected themselves, but they've been pretty insulated from day one.
To be fair, they did catch votes at that first round once they went to, but like
But
they had the tools to get
everybody
around it.
did. Everybody did.
Yeah, I mean, it's been impressive, and like I know we're getting there, like no one can tell, and maybe there's a confession. Someone's like, "Yeah, I know Kyle and Camila are pals," but like they're doing some good stuff, and like I was really surprised that they did not go through the plan with taking out Shaheen. Though maybe like the answer is like they've sowed enough seeds for the next round, and everyone's like, Shaheen has an idol.
Eh, but where does that even like manifest from? Like where would Shaheen have gotten the idol?
Well, I mean, they're just like, after one was played, we went back to camp and we all went together, but then someone stayed back and we lost track of them, and it was Shaheen, and maybe he found something. I don't know. Like, I actually kind of like that as kind of like the hey, there's this weird moment, but we don't know anything about it. It's like kind of like letting the other people postulate from there.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, sometimes you got to throw out things and let people got to grasp at some straws because maybe that's what catches and maybe that helps. And do you think we see that idea bleed over into the next episode?
I do think. I mean, I think Shaheen catching a vote from Cedric, even though she knew that would happen, but I think him being that decoy vote is just. I think Shaheen is going to need to really kind of rethink what he's doing going forward, and I think he might be looking to rally the potential outcasts or the social players, the nerds, the under the radar players that Joe wants to take out, or is that David? One of the two.
Yeah, I think it's David, but Shaheen has to. I think Shaheen has some work to do because I don't think this idol thing is benefiting him if more people know about it. I do think he's the fifth person on this 5-person alliance, and he may be beneficial to hold on to for now. But I think if it came down to a blindside vote against him to kind of get things like to tip the scales one way or another, I think that's where Mary comes into play because I think she's in a really good position to be a catalyst for some type of movement away from those 5. But I don't know if she wants to do that and shake it up that much. I think she does. I think so. We'll see. Camilla tells David that Shaheen, like we talked about, has an idol looking to make a move. Chrissy approaches Say about how Mitch, Say, not being able to trust her, and Mitch says Joe is going to, he's going to block Say's vote.
Can we talk through this whole use of block a vote? So, like, you're in this situation, you're in a small tribe. Block votes are extremely powerful in small tribes. Right? That's probably the most effective it'll be until the final 7 or something like that.
Yes.
You're a small tribe. There's 3 original purple players. It's Mitch and Chrissy from Orange. Then you have Say. And if you're Mitch, like, I'm hearing Say's name, Say's hearing my name, it's probably one of us. You have the ability to block a vote and attempt to flip the script, right? And say, hey, let's and this is always easier said than done. I've failed doing this in a game where you try to bring the half the tribe together, the underdog, say, hey, instead of going for each other, we can use this thing and do this other thing instead. But we don't hear any of that. Mitch's like, no, I'll just block Say's vote, therefore she can't shine in the dark, and it'll all be fine. Everyone's like, okay.
I'm thinking just because he's trying to, because he knows he's on the bottom. It's either him or her. And so if he does something against them and it doesn't work, she still may go home. But guess what? He's going next.
I think Mitch is a high likelihood of going next anyways.
I think so too. But in his head, he's like, well, the best way for me to extend my game past this is not to sever that. It might be to do this and just make it to the next day, and then I can reevaluate. But
I think it's like, are you play aggressive or are you gonna play more passive, right? And that passive play is like, look, I am just gonna let things fall. Some point at final 8 or 9, things will shuffle up enough that it's not gonna be this majority alliance like dominating, and I'm gonna be able to pick up and ride it out. It's kind of the Marianne and Erica strategy of like, hey, start in this large group, splinter off and take over and go from there. But I get the sense that like I don't know, like it got him through the votes. I mean, it didn't, like, because if he tries to strong arm things, Say is like, I refuse to work with Mitch, and votes him out and doesn't work anyway. So maybe this is just inevitable that it has to happen this way. But
yeah, I don't see a scenario that Mitch is going to reroute his trajectory. He may make it through the next episode, but I don't see him lasting many more.
And like, I think what's even more killer about this group is you look at who's together. You have Star, Joe, and Eva, right? all three from the original tribe. Eva and Star are kind of like this right now, and then Eva and Joe are kind of like this right now. And like, if your Star is like, she has no reason to flip. She's like, yeah, life is good. I'm just gonna roll with this, right? So it's like, if this was like, if you, yeah, this is just a really hard combination for Say to kind of get out of, and I think really relied on like people taking out Mitch. And like, I was shocked that the reason we didn't hear is like there are still 5 Orange players left in the game. They're half the tribe at this point.
But how strong is this original Orange tribe? I don't think they're very cohesive.
Not very strong, but still, like, I would think I'd be more open to making sure they're not staying strong by taking Mitch out than and leaving a leaving a wild card than taking out Say, who are like, Again, like, do I want to take out? Am I going to take out the turtle, or am I going to take out the actual venomous snake?
Well, I know one thing: Mary ain't afraid of turtles.
Very afraid of turtles.
Nope. So tribal. Let's get to it. Obviously, just like we talked, Say gets her vote blocked by Mitch. Say goes home and doesn't make the jury. I'm kind of disappointed in that.
I mean, I would have loved to see Say being the mayor of Ponderosa and for Say to glower at players from the jury bench. I think Say would have had strong reactions, like big, like, I really wish Say had made it.
I think this would have been
be a lovely person too as the mayor.
Yes, this would have been the first year, I think, where they would have had to do like a picture-in-picture just of Say on the jury if she had made it, and then tribal council in the other picture, just so you could see the facial reactions in real time to what they're saying. I think that should be a thing. This is my plead for Survivor. Please put a camera in the jury box so that we can go online and watch the jury. Like, I get it, it's going to be pre-taped, but I would like to see and hear, what are they saying? Like,
give me a live jury cam.
Right. Let's go. Why can't we vote for that? Give me that.
Because like one of the best parts of Island of Idols was the Rob and Sandra cam in their little hut.
We can bring that back. You can throw Rob and Sandra in the jury box with them, with the cameras. I don't care. Let's go.
So, in your analysis, could Say have done anything? Was she just doomed from the start?
Yeah, I just, the more I think about, well, because she tried. I think she went to the right people to try to like get some leverage moving in a different direction, and she was just shut down. Like, every person she talked to was just like, thanks but no thanks. Thanks but no thanks. And I honestly don't think there was much she could do. I think just how her game started, there was only like a couple paths that it could go, and I think both of those paths led to what happened last night.
One other thing about this tribal council, what do you think of Chrissy's speech to her response to Jeff's question?
I mean, when did Chrissy start becoming the leader of this like, I don't see her doing anything, and yet like in these tribals she's like got something to say. Like, be quiet, Chrissy, you ain't got nothing to say.
Hey, okay, I think you're saying this because Chrissy Say has gotten a lot of airtime and Chrissy has not gotten a lot of airtime, so I think this is a victim of what we're seeing from the show. For me, it was wild here. It's like, just like, we're all gonna lie at backside, but I'm not doing that right now. But we're all gonna lie at backside, but I promise I'm not. It's like, I was like, wow. If I heard someone play this, like, am I really gonna play with this person? Am I really gonna keep them wild? Because I'm just like, this is really crazy to hear just someone say flat out in tribal council or in public, like, hey, I will lie, cheat, and backstab, and I will do it to you, but not right now. We're good.
She might be next to go home. Like, what is the benefit of keeping her around? Like,
I think Chrissy and Mitch, and I would say Joe would be the 3 people I'd be most worried about going from here.
Yeah.
Chrissy, I'll put top 4: Chrissy, Mitch, Shaheen, and Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, Shaheen's the one that I'm really on the fence about. Because I just don't know where he can go. Like
I mean,
he's
so
he's been tied to that five and that strong allied group, in some capacity. And now that they're merged, like they're pretty tight. But like he also has said some things where you're like, maybe he would do something to jeopardize that alliance, and maybe he does think that know where he stands on that, and he's willing to make a move. But in order, I think to kind of get back to Shaheen being on the chopping block, I think in order for him to move himself away from that, he's got to pull the Kyle and the Camilla and the Mary,
yeah,
and they've got to do something.
I think Star, Mary, Mitch, Chrissy, and him is 5.
Yep.
Right. I think Kyle and Camila will be in that swing role of like, can we take out Joe or maybe or do we not? So I think trying to flip one of them will be very important. And honestly, probably the answer is maybe even David, because like Kyle and Camila didn't start in a tribe with David, right?
Yeah.
And so therefore that they might be more willing to let David go as a result. I don't know. But it will take some work to kind of get the underdogs to kind of come together. Okay, Kyle and Camille did start with David, so never mind then.
Either way, I mean,
Yeah.
Kyle and Camilla hold, once again, a lot of insulation because however they've done it, they've managed to put themselves in a really good spot. And I don't know.
Aspirational.
Yeah. I don't see a scenario like it would have to be something just absolutely asinine crazy for them to go home. And I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but like they are very protected right now.
Yeah, and then Cedric gets completely blindsided, and which for us, I mean, I guess the big blindside for us was that Shaheen didn't get blindsided.
Right.
And like again, like I kind of watched this like, wow, we had I was kind of shocked we got 2 easy votes.
Yeah. Me too. I thought once Say went, I was like, uh-oh, like there might be fireworks at this next one.
Look, yeah, because
really,
like we've seen the past where like person A gets voted out, just goes sits on the bench immediately. Then group 2 comes like, oh shoot, that person got voted out. But it is wild because like you just don't know. And like had they known Say got voted out, would they voted out Cedric? Probably, but you never know.
Yeah. Haven't they? My memory. Like I love watching the game, but I don't remember. But haven't they had episodes where they've done a split or a split tribal, and the other tribe has sat in on the tribal council?
So that was last season, right? Last season you had something like that happen where like the only that was where the original Blues plus Rachel went to tribal council. The other side watched her. Rachel got that advantage, left. The Blues then had to eat one of their own. And that was the last vote out before the merge.
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything if they see the tribal, but I like that twist, allowing them, if you're gonna split it up, like let's put all the cards out there on the table. Let's
Yeah, because I'm thinking back in like I think it's season 42. Roxroy gets voted out. He sits on the jury bench by Chanel. The other team gets there. Andrea and Marianne were just like, well, we're going to play our idols because we do not want to see 2 African Americans go back to back and do this. And so I don't. Like I've seen some statistics saying, hey, like this twist really seems to cause African Americans to get voted out, and like it's not quite sure where, or why that's happening, and I don't think that's something that players are actively thinking of, but it is. There's been this weird trend in that. I don't understand why it's happening.
I don't know. That's interesting. When you think about what the dynamics could be, there's so many facets of the game. It's hard to like. I agree. I don't think the players are thinking that at all. I just think it just happens. So
yeah.
But obviously that wraps up a big episode. I'm I got to decide, in my pool, who am I selecting this
So who'd
week?
you have selected last week?
Mitch.
Oh, it worked out.
No, actually, I think so. No, 2 weeks ago I had Mitch. Last week I had Star. So this week I gotta decide. I could go ahead and throw Mary in there. I could. Um, I could do a Kyle. I could do a Camilla, Joe, Eva. There's a bunch I haven't used. Let's just say. I don't know. If
Um,
you were me,
I, I,
who'd you take?
I
Who,
think Mary is a pretty safe choice. I think with her old alliance, Cedric and Say going out, she's the last from her tribe. I don't think people are going to look to as a someone that's Mary to take out next episode.
yeah. Um, I gotta keep picking people that
Won't
stick
go then.
around, but are gonna get voted out. That way, I have at the end, I have the choices to pick from that I haven't chose. Um, so what's another option you think that would be good? I've
You've done
gone,
Chrissy.
I've done Chrissy,
You've done Star.
done Star.
Who else from the merge have you done?
Let's see. Let me pull up my handy dandy list here, and I will let you know. Got to find it first. So it is way in here, deep. That's how busy I've been this week. Here we go. Pull it up. The list. Here's what I have had so far. All right. I have had Chrissy, week 1, Bianca, week 2, Charity, week 3, David, Mitch, and Star.
Okay, so I think, oof, I don't know who this is going to end. I mean, I think if you're living on the edge, Shaheen was probably someone I would pick here. I think Mary is relatively safe. I don't know since her endgame. I think Kyle and Camilla should not be going anywhere this episode. So that if you so I feel like Shaheen is risky, but then it would be the person I would want to get earlier than later. Just because after the last episode, I'm like, I don't know how far he's going to go. I think it felt very like he's like I was like, oh, he's doing so much work. Like no, he's been seen. Like people see him and recognize what he's doing.
Yeah, I think if I wanted to go risky, but probably a good vote would be Shaheen. If I wanted to kind of flirt the line in the middle, maybe Mary, just because she's the last of
I mean,
of the
so
green.
here's an important question: which duo will go farther, Joe or Eva, or Kyle and Camilla?
I think Joe and Eva. Eva has an idol, so that doesn't mean that
That
she's going to go farther, but it gives
doesn't
her
mean
an
she
opportunity.
will play it. She'll play it and get. Doesn't mean she won't play it and she'll get blindsided instead.
Correct. Kyle and Camilla at some point, I feel like they've got to have some heat. They can't go through this whole game with no heat, right?
Dom and Wendell kind of did. I mean, I think that was more of a implication of the Ghost Island cast than anything else. But
Yeah. Oh man, I really would like to go Shaheen, but I just don't. I don't think I have it in me. I
yeah,
don't.
I don't blame him. I mean, I'd say Mary's a player where I don't know where she'll be, and I don't see her going out next.
Yeah. All right, maybe it's Mary. I think maybe that's
If Mary goes home, then you're out of the game if Mary goes home, right?
yes.
Okay, so hopefully I don't do you in like that.
No, I mean, hey, it's luck. If Mary goes home, I'm still the president of the Mary fan club, and we've got all the applications that I gotta filter through tonight. But um, any last words on this past episode, or what's coming up, or what we might see next episode?
We got some. I had David doing David things. I don't know what the take away from that. So we saw some of that.
Drinking milk. See,
he needs more milk.
Yeah, clearly. Let's see. Live reality games casting. Instagram LRG_casting. Go there, click apply now, and you can see all of the games that are currently accepting applications. Let me see if I can get you a few. There's Survivor, Pennsylvania, that's got episodes out for their season on YouTube. You've got Surviving Bloomington out there. You got Stranded.
Outlast is doing episodes in chunks. Survivor Cayman Islands, which I kind of started watching a little bit of, just like, ooh, I want to go to the Cayman Islands. It's only like $500 round trip from San Antonio. I was like, ooh.
I will say this. Can You Survive did a charity traders game, and it was a 2-day, 2 games, one on Friday, one on Saturday. I was a part of the one on Saturday, and I was lucky enough. Can you believe this, Steven? I was lucky enough to be the first person banished. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It was one of those luck things that you fall into, is like, the person before me got a shield, and then they had to pick someone to not get a shield, and I was the very first person that they picked. And so everyone piled on me because they were like, well, you were the first guy, so we got to pick somebody. And so, hey, it is what it is. So my charity Can You Survive traders game was short-lived, but they're going to do another one at the end of May and June. So be on the lookout for that. It was $5. It's going to charity, and you can have either a 5-minute experience like I did, or you might have a 4-hour experience if you win it all. But I would highly suggest. It was a lot of fun. The people were great, very well set up, very well run. So go do it. It's worth it.
Some other good news. The LRG Awards announced all the nominations. There's like 16. There's a lot of categories people got nominated from. But Daniel, you probably saw that we got nominated for Best Podcast.
Let's go, Steven. Let's go the whole LRG podcast.
Not only did we get nominated, 4 of the 6 nominees are technically part of the LRG podcast. So I'm like, yeah.
So it's gonna win no matter what. Let's go. No, that's awesome. I appreciate what they do. That's a great idea. I'm glad they do it. Just a way to get more traction and more eyes, and like people like to win stuff, so why not?
But seriously, Daniel, thank you for your helping run the podcast here for Survivor CBS. Thank you for all the Survivor Angelica podcast you did this past season. Thank you for helping make this a thing.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity, but Steven, with that, man, let's get out of here. We'll watch Survivor tomorrow. We'll recap it. And until then,
just take care.
Take care. Be good. Be safe. Be all those things. We're out. Peace.